This is a quick introduction of our Quantum Pro, one of our best-selling systems, also our most powerful system that we manufacture to date. I wanted to show you quickly everything that comes with the package and everything you need for a typical installation. What's included in the box with the Quantum Pro cooler itself is the carbon fiber mounting plate, these rubber standoff feet, the quick release pins, and 8-gauge 12-foot wiring harness. The Quantum Pro, like I mentioned, is the most powerful system that we have currently. It's over 500 watts of cooling. It has a 19-ounce reservoir, which is great for driver changes. So if you're doing endurance racing, it gives you the ability to not really be concerned about the driver's shirts not having enough coolant, or when you connect and disconnect, depending on what type of connectors you're using with your shirt, you can get a little bit of drippage, a little bit of fluid loss. So the 19.5-ounce tank helps mitigate any risk there between driver changes, especially on extremely long races, 24-hour races, for example. Some of the most common accessories for the Quantum Pro are the dash mountable remote control. This plugs right into the side of the system. It has an extension cable that's 12 feet long. And the remote control is basically a complete replica of the screen that's found on the system itself. So it's basically all the information that's displayed on this screen is carried over to the remote display. So everything you can control and visually see between the two screens. For the Quantum Pro, for best performance, we recommend ducting the system. If you're gonna duct the system, always best to use our 4-inch ducting. Once the plenum's connected and you slide it back into its mounting plate, which is obviously gonna be mounted in the car, recommend some riv nuts. And you lock in the locking pins here, the plenum will stay in place, just like so. And since it's 4-inch ducting, you really need to look at either using our 4-inch NACA duct or a 4-inch ram air duct. Let me show you what those look like. The most common is our 4-inch NACA duct, and it's really simple installation if you're using the 4-inch ducting. And the reason why that is you're not gonna need an inline blower. It's literally just NACA duct to the 4-inch ducting to the plenum, and obviously hooked straight to the system. If you have to use 3-inch ducting for any reason, you're almost always gonna need an inline blower. There's too much static resistance with the tubing and the actual fittings themselves that the system's not getting enough cool air, and it's just restrictive. So the performance is gonna be great. On some cars like Dodge Vipers, some Trans Am series cars, Corvettes, it's really hard to find a place to mount a NACA duct this size, even though this NACA duct is nearly the same size as the 3-inch as far as the amount of space it takes up in the quarter panel window. Or this is kind of our next option. So this is our carbon fiber ram air duct, and it works just like it sounds. Air is forced into it, and it takes up the least amount of space on the car. So I've attached one here to this 4-inch ducting just to kind of give you an example of what it looks like. But this is about what you'd see on the outside of the car. It's the least amount of surface area that we could come up with that would allow us to get enough airflow to supply the system without adding an inline blower. We really like using the system without the inline blower. It's one less thing to go wrong. It's less amp draw, and the system just really breathes so well without it. The system pulls between 18 and 20 amps max, usually around 18 amps. Again, it really depends on how cool you keep the system. If you're keeping the system cooler, you're gonna get a lot less amp draw. The resistance is actually built up from the heat. So if you can keep it cool, you might be around 16 amps, 15, 16 amps. But on the higher side, we've seen as high as 20 amps with the Quantum Pro system. Also, the system only weighs 10.5 pounds. So even though it looks like it might weigh more, it's actually fairly light due to the carbon fiber construction. So aside from the 4-inch NACA duct, 4-inch plenum, obviously you're gonna need some duct tubing. The Other few things that you would need to do if you're placing an order for this system is make a 6-foot, a 10-foot, and a 14-foot coolant cable that would basically hook this system directly to the driver. We have a couple different options for fittings. This obviously comes standard with coolant hoses, but we have our rapid release system and we have our no drip connectors. So I'm gonna walk you through kind of the basic setup for this system. So our Chillout Systems fluid is actually a concentrate. It's available in 2 different concentration levels. One specifically is sold for this system, and it's our 50% glycol blend. So at 50%, you still want to add only 25% of the glycol blend we like to use bottled water. It's a great way to just measure it and keep it handy, but just shake it up a little bit. This is going to prevent growth. But it's also going to prevent the evaporator from freezing over. It's not usually going to happen in race conditions, but it certainly can happen in pit lane. It's really important that you keep this in there. Honestly, it's just the growth factor is the most important thing, because once you get some growth in the system, it's very hard to get it out of the evaporator. So I'm going to close this up. Hold the button down for 2 seconds to kick it on. I'll let you see what the screen looks like. So obviously it's pretty straightforward. The functionality is dialing in the temperature that you want to set it to, which is the larger, and then the temperature up here is the set temperature. So larger temperature is where the system's at. The smaller temperature is where it's set to. System cut off because it's only 65 degrees in here, believe it or not. But if we dial it down to 35 degrees, kicks back on. You can see that the system is flowing here. And then this shows you whether or not the system is flowing through the shirt. So if you have a kink or some obstruction in the shirt, it's going to give you this flashing error here. And this, of course, is the compressor speed, so you can see at what level the compressor is actually running at. You'll notice that it'll start to dial back once it gets to the desired temperature. I'll actually kind of simulate that now. And you can see it's slowly slowing down the compressor. It's got 7 speeds, and it shut off because we're at that temperature below it. As I showed you before, this is pretty much an exact replica of the screen that's found on the unit. All of the information that's here is here on the display as well. So same functionality can be found on the same remote. Our Quantum Pro system is our most versatile system. It's not our smallest system or lightest system by any means, but it's great for endurance racing. It's great for drivers who are doing driver changes and don't want to worry about having any issues with coolant levels in their systems. Thanks for watching. Feel free to contact us for more information. You can reach us at our phone number at the bottom of the screen or my email address. Feel free to reach out to any of our distributors nationwide. We're happy to help.